This is Steffen Schmidt for InsiderIowa.com. American presidents never know where problems are going to come from, and President Obama and the American people suddenly find themselves in the middle of, or at least on the edges of, a pretty controversial and difficult military operation in North Africa after the Egyptians overthrew the Mubarak government, where the United States played primarily a kind of background role and so on. But in the case of Libya, of course, the United States has offered some leadership, brought the United Nations in, and then the European Union and NATO, and has expended some of its expensive cruise missiles to take out military facilities that are Libyan military facilities. One of the questions that's come up is, why are we doing this in Libya? What is the national interest there? And the discussion has been as follows. Number one, humanitarian reasons. The rebels are very poorly armed. The government of Muammar Gaddafi has very high quality weapons, including airplanes, helicopters, tanks, and other stuff. And we wanted to avoid a massacre of the civilians because Muammar Gaddafi is not prone to just quitting and leaving the country. And the second is that, and I just heard this from an intelligence officer, that we are very concerned about the weapons of mass destruction that the Libyan government probably has, that they have not destroyed, that they probably have some poison gases and other things. And as the situation there develops, we wanted to sort of maybe have play a role in that. And then there has been pushback from a lot of people saying, why Libya? Why did we decide, of all the places in the world, to act in Libya and not do the same thing in places like Darfur, where there's not just killings going on, but actually really genocide? It's been declared genocide. The United States has done very little in Darfur. And in Somalia, the United States went in for a short operation, and then when it got burned, pulled out. And clearly there have been terrible human rights losses there. I could name many other African countries where people are dying, where the government is either killing them or the countries are falling into civil war, and where humanitarian action would be equally or perhaps more deserved. So the question arises, and the same is true right now actually in North Africa, in the Middle East, clearly in Syria, and in Yemen and other places. Civilians are dying, and the governments are using police and military force on their own people, but we haven't gone in there. Is that hypocrisy? Is there really a reason why Libya and not some of these other countries? And I will be honest with you that I don't have an answer to that. There is oil in Libya. It's not that much, really. The percentage of the world oil supply coming from Libya is not that great. There are some pipelines that might be kind of important, but so I am personally waiting for the assessment to come once this is all over, why the United States and President Obama and Secretary of State Hillary Clinton decided to essentially take action in this particular case. Of course, you know that there's also a lot of criticism from especially Republicans that President Obama, if he thought Libya was really a place where the United States had a national interest, that we should have gone in there and we should have taken control, and we should have used military force, and we should have put troops on the ground and been much better prepared in arming the rebels and so on. And that President Obama, it is said, has taken a very timid position in which the U.S. has stuck its foot into the water, but is apparently afraid to step in any further, and that could result in a muddled policy, possibly a failed policy, in which the United States then comes out with no benefits, because it will have essentially annoyed the dictator of Libya, Muammar Gaddafi, without deposing him and without securing an opposition that could come to the capital city, Tripoli, and set up a stable government. So it is still early. Things are sort of evolving in Libya. The CIA apparently is now on the ground, which is not a big surprise. I mean, when the United States sees trouble somewhere, there usually are CIA agents and intelligence operatives who are trying to scope out the situation. But we will do an update for you on what is going on, but it is puzzling to many of us why the lives of Libyan rebels are more valuable than the lives of people in other parts of the world who are also dying. And so the question is, how do you triage the moral imperative of where you must step in and where you could essentially turn away, maybe protest diplomatically and maybe impose some trade embargo, but other than that, simply walk away from it. And that remains a puzzle as I talk to you right now. This is Steffen Schmidt for InsiderIowa.com.